Welcome to the Burn Boot Camp podcast. My name is Ashley Hearn. I am a trainer at Burn Boot Camp Lake Norman, and I am your host today as we continue our series on women's health. Today, we are going to be talking about an incredibly important topic, and that is menopause and how it impacts our fitness. And I am so privileged today to have a special guest with me. Guys, this is Melissa Price. Melissa is a franchise partner, OG franchise partner. She's been around since 2015, I believe, when she opened her first gym. Now she has 4. She's also a trainer. And guys, she is just a pillar in the Burn Boot Camp community. And today she's going to share with us a little bit about her experience as she's been navigating this change in her life, this season in her life. So I'm just going to kick it off to you, Melissa. We're so glad to have you with us today.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm so glad to be here. And I really appreciate Headquarters having this podcast because it's so important. And so important for our members to understand what's going on with their bodies and understand that it's not necessarily their workouts.
Yeah, I think that's so great. And honestly, why don't you just start by sharing a little bit of your story, your journey?
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of talk to our audience about maybe what they're experiencing and what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started Burn Boot Camp in 2015. I became a franchise partner. I had never taken a workout, but I knew what they were doing was going to be amazing. And after stalking Devin on Instagram or Facebook and Instagram for quite some time, decided this place looks amazing. And I signed to be a franchisee.
I love that story.
Which is amazing. But it was the best thing I ever did. It really was for me mentally, physically, financially, and just overall a great decision in my life that impacted myself and my kids. And so I started with Burn Boot Camp in 2015, and then 2019 opened my second one. And then in 2021 partnered with my best friend and partner, Lindsay Bushnell, and now we own 2 more together. So together we own 6.
Okay, wow.
We really run them all together. But so for me, when I started Burn Boot Camp, it was amazing because I went from being really overweight. My body fat was in the obese numbers. And I was 46 years old, and I was like, okay, well, this is just going to be what it's going to be. Like, this is where my body's going to be, and I'll, just get used to it. And then I had started my transformation with Devin and completely transformed my body and went into losing body fat and losing weight, becoming a trainer, and feeling absolutely amazing. Yeah. So having had that and having had the knowledge of being a trainer, when this menopause hit, it was like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
My experience with it was about 5 years ago, I started with the night sweats. And when you have night sweats, you wake up in literally a pool of sweat. And you can't imagine how drastic it is unless you've been through it. Yeah. And you literally have to change your sheets and your clothes in the middle of the night. And so that's a whole thing in itself. So I went through the night sweats, got through that. They lasted about a year. So my journey was a little different because I had symptoms spread out over years. Huh. It wasn't like I got everything.
Yeah.
I think part of it was because I had a partial hysterectomy in 2011. Okay. So kept my ovaries, kept my hormones, but it's still a little bit of a weird transition in your body. And then 2 years ago, went through the hot flashes. So that's fun because you could be anywhere and you're just all of a sudden on fire.
I'm sure so many of our ladies are like, yes, we know what you're talking about right now.
It literally feels like it starts here and you're inflamed in your face, just straight up. And so that started about 2 years ago. And again, it just lasted for 6 months, a year, and then it went away. And I was like, all right, this is manageable. And then about 8 months, it came the worst of it. And this was literally, I felt like it was overnight. The weight around my waist came. Joint pain when I was working out. I went from loving my workouts to dreading walking into the gym. I dreaded it because my body was just working against me. It wouldn't work. Going down for a burpee was the worst thing I could ever think of having to do.
Gosh.
And then the weight gain and not being able to implement the things I know as a trainer and as an owner of Burn Boot Camp were not working. So it was very I guess the only word I could think of was isolating. It was very isolating for me to understand what was happening and then also walk into a gym where I'm supposed to empower women and I can't.
Wow.
And so that was really hard.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
So that's the part like it always gets me because it was just, I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So after going I went to my GYN, my regular family physician, and both said, "Oh, your estrogen's low. Let's put you on estrogen." And that was it. No conversation, no understanding. And the other part was, and start doing yoga. Like, go easy on your body. And I was like, literally, everything they just said to me was so not anything that I ever would not that I wouldn't do yoga.
And I'm sure it was very discouraging and
very
defeating.
discouraging.
Yeah.
One, the hormones. So my family, in the past, my relatives, I have aunts who have been on the synthetic hormones. And for me personally, that wasn't a fit for me.
Right.
They had bad experiences with, and it wasn't something I was going to do.
Right.
So I was like, well, what else can I do? And they were like, well, we can put you on estrogen. And that was it. So both doctors said that. And then I started going to red light therapy just to help with the inflammation because I felt like with stuffed tick. I literally was walking around like feeling like a stuffed tick because I was so inflamed. Didn't know what was happening in my body. The red light therapy really calmed that. It just calmed my whole system in general. And while I was going there, the woman who was doing it shared with me that she was on bioidentical hormones and how she had gone through this process that has really helped her and got her body back to where she was.
Yeah.
And so I started that process. Started the process of going to a doctor who she called in all my lab work, which was much more extensive than my doctor at my
Not just estrogen, right?
It was very extensive. She tested my cortisol because she wanted to see it does affect your cortisol.
Absolutely.
And so when it affects your cortisol, if you are going to try and do burn boot camp, you're going to be depleted.
Right.
Because you can only take so much in the workouts. Now, I shouldn't say burn boot camp in general. I should say more if it's cardio. The cardio
like
is
high intensity.
Yes, the high intensity.
Cardio.
If I was going in on strength training days, no problem.
Right.
I could work out. I could lift weights. I wasn't getting that depleted feeling. So your cortisol, where you feel that depletion, is when you do the cardio workouts. So this testing that I did, she tested my cortisol, she tested all my hormone levels, and she really explained to me why she was testing those things. And there was when they test the estrogen, they test for another level. There's a whole different science to it. So after she did all my testing, she called me up and she said, "You are at 0 testosterone, 0 estrogen, and 0 progesterone." So it was like, as much as I didn't want to hear that,
you needed to know.
Validating.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, okay, it's not because I'm not taking care of my body.
Right.
It's not because I'm not, counting my macros like I should.
Right.
I was doing those things and it wasn't working. So it was very validating to hear that and to know that, okay, now we can start tackling this.
Absolutely.
And getting a plan in place. So for me, they put me on bioidentical hormones. It was testosterone and estrogen in a cream that I put on my arms once a day. And that's where the estrogen, testosterone goes in together. And then at night is the progesterone, which within a week, the sleeping changed. I was able to sleep better.
Wow.
The joint pain went away. And that was really quick. She said typically it's several weeks. But for me, I was so depleted that my body was just craving what it was getting. And it was reacting immediately. So the joint pain went away. And my energy got better in my workouts. And she said that the weight loss doesn't typically start until month 3 because you really need to build up that estrogen. And it's not going to go away until you get the right amount of estrogen. Right. So even though I was still not feeling good about my body and my weight, I was feeling good that I could do my workouts again, that I could be happy going into the gym again. Right. And that I wasn't in pain and I could do a burpee. And so, it really did make a difference getting the hormones in.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that you share your story because one thing that I think that you've really drawn attention to is that no one has the same story or the same journey in this, but we can all have similar feelings.
Yes.
Right? So while you were at 0%, like other women may have a shortage of just one hormone or not another. But at the same time, like your care and your treatment needs to be personalized to you individually. But the feelings that you have are very similar. And you told me a story when we chatted offline a little bit about how you shared this on your members page. You want to share a little bit about that and the response that you got?
So I had, I just one day I was like, all right, I'm just going to get on and let them know what's going on. Because for a little bit, I wasn't in the gym. I was at home. I was trying to like work through this. It felt terrible. And I felt like I was failing them. So I was like, I have to address it. So I went on the members page and I was like, all right, guys, here it is. And I just vomited it. I was like, here's what's happened. Here's what's going on with my body. Here's what my hormone level is. I'm like, I'm so sorry to my male members, but here's what's happening. And so I went on and just told my story, and with no plan in place, no organization to it, which is typically how I roll. And so I just said everything. Well, first of all, the members page blew up. It just was like, oh my gosh, thank you for bringing this up. This is so taboo. Thank you for bringing awareness. And it was a Friday night when I had done this. So Saturday, I went into the gym to work out, and I got in it was like an 8:30 workout. I got there at like 8 o'clock. And at 8:15, my members start rolling in for the 8:30 camp. And when I tell you there was a line of people to talk to me, I'm not exaggerating. And I was like, oh my gosh, all right, so this isn't so bad. So I don't have to feel like I'm failing. We're going to get through this together. Yes. And so even just that feeling of them in line was like, I'm not alone. Like, this is okay. And it was really cool because it was just them saying, thank you for bringing it up. Like the same thing, they felt isolated. They didn't know what was happening. And for them, like for a lot of our members, our Burn Boot Camp is their second home. Yes. You're not going to stop going. So they're coming in pain, thinking, is it this? It has nothing to do with the gym. Right. It's what their body's going through. Right. And I mean, and even it wasn't just the gym. It was getting up in the morning. I was like, oh my gosh, my body hurts. Yeah. And
from sleeping.
From sleeping, right. So I'm like, I know it's not about the gym. And that's what was driving me crazy too. Because I was thinking, if I'm feeling this, I can't imagine what my members are feeling, and thinking that like, not understanding that it's their hormones. Right. And when I went on after 1 week of the hormones, that pain going away and me loving my workouts again was so telling for me that your hormones affect you in such a drastic way. Yes. And I never would have thought that. No. Never in a million years.
I love that story because I think what we're kind of seeing in this age, I guess you could say, is we're finally starting to have conversations about this once taboo subject, right? Yeah, yeah. It was just this thing that women went through, but nobody talked about it. Yeah. No one shared their experience. And I think women have for a long time felt isolated, and they don't have the education. They don't have the knowledge. They don't know the reason my joints feel this way is something that's happening hormonally. So they might think, well, I can't go to this community that I love anymore. I can't do these workouts that make me feel strong and powerful, and which is such a key part of our mental health, which goodness knows you need even more during a season like this in your life. And so I love that we're starting the conversation, and I love that you being brave enough to share and being vulnerable to say, hey, this is what I'm walking through. Right. Probably was so reassuring and validating the same way you felt when you found out those numbers were what they were. For other women to hear your story and to hear, I'm not alone in this. The way I'm feeling, it's normal. Right, right. But I don't have to walk through this alone. And so I think that the conversation and making it normalizing, talking about what we're experiencing as women is so key. And I love some of the other things you shared with me just about how you really want women to feel supported. And so I'd love to hear just kind of your thoughts on like, how can we support each other? I mean, whether menopause specifically, but just in general as women, as we're walking through stuff like this.
I think just talking about it and just really sharing your experience, because everybody's experience is different. And just even understanding what types of treatment are out there. Yeah. And the more we can talk about, the more we can educate each other. And I think that's really important because I love my doctors. I've gone to them for years. I've had my GYN since I had both my kids, and I'll always go to him. but he's not able to have these conversations with me. He's not able to really understand the pain my body went through and just how depleted of energy I was.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing what they do. They're doctors and they treat you.
Right.
And that's okay. That wasn't working for me.
Right.
And so, even in this journey, I'm still learning what I'm doing and is it right for me? And, right now, we just 2 weeks ago, I called the doctor and I said to her, something is not right. I said, I'm feeling irritable again. Now I was just entering month 4 of the hormones. So month 3, she's like, that's when you're going to lose the weight. I'm like, all right, I'm in month 4. What's going on? It's not happening. So, but I also started feeling a little bit moody again. Just not the aching. That wasn't happening. But some of the symptoms were coming back. So I called her up. She sent me right back to get my blood work tested again. And she called me up and she said, the way we're getting the estrogen in your body is not working for you. So we changed it. So now I actually start tomorrow. Now it's going an estrogen patch, which I'll put right here on my abdomen. She said the estrogen mixed with this testosterone, the way that avenue is not working for my body. My body needs the direct estrogen. So we're doing that next, which I hear is amazing. I've heard talk to other women who have said literally overnight they start feeling better and start losing the weight with the estrogen and feeling those symptoms go away. So I start tomorrow with estrogen patch, the testosterone cream, and the progesterone pill, which sounds like a lot, and it is, but what happens is after I do all this, if we find that this combination works for me, because the BHRT, the bioidentical hormones, this is only for me. So when she calls in my prescription, no one else has my prescription. It's just curtailed to what my numbers are and where my numbers need to be. So once we find that, if I decide, hey, I don't want to do this, I don't want to take all 3 of these, I can get a pellet put in just by my tailbone, to the side of my tailbone, very small pellet. They put it in and it'll be 4 months before I have to get it done again.
Wow.
So now when we were at Burn Summit, what I did was I started venturing out to the trainers and franchise owners who are my age. And I was like, okay, can we talk about something?
Yeah.
And one of the trainers and owners that I spoke to, she went through this and she looks amazing. And I was like, well, how'd you get to this point? So same thing, she went through different avenues with the hormones and now she does the pellets. Pellets work great for her. She does it once. She doesn't have to do it for 4 months. The only downside is you can't work out for a day or 2, but if you get the pellet done on a Friday, then you're fine by Monday to start your workout. So it's just a process to get to where you need to be. So I think talking about it and sharing those stories more are how we're going to each find what process works for us.
Yeah, I agree. And I think knowledge is power. We've talked about that. You and I've talked about that. And I think even just having this conversation, women listening to this podcast today who are maybe experiencing some of the symptoms that you have, they may have gone to their doctors and gotten the same traditional answers. Just do yoga and here's some estrogen. Right now they know there's other options out there besides just traditional hormone replacement therapy, right? And I love that you are kind of saying, I think something that's an important lesson for all of us in general is be patient. It takes time, right? We want a quick fix in our society. We want to be like, give me this and fix me tomorrow. But it may take time and it may take going to different doctors, finding what works for you, and what worked for you may not work for one of our listeners. Traditional hormone therapy may be the perfect route for them, right? But to educate yourself, all your options. If you get dismissed by your normal physician, find one that will listen, right? That will help you explore what your numbers are. Like you said, they didn't just test your estrogen, they tested all the different hormones in your body to come up with the solution that worked for you. But I definitely think women giving ourselves grace is a really difficult thing. And I know you feel really passionately about that. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I wasn't giving myself any grace when it first started. I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't know why I'm in pain. I need to go to bed earlier. Like it was all my fault. It was all like just my fault.
Yeah.
And then it was when I got the correct testing I needed and saw those numbers, I was like, you are giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
Like, I went from maybe only doing 1 cardio day a week instead of 2, and not feeling guilty about that. And feeling like it's okay. I'm going to get back to where I need to be. I have to give myself grace.
Absolutely.
And I have to have patience, which for me is I don't have.
I don't either.
If it comes to me personally or my business and something that I can change to make it better, I have no patience. It's full steam ahead, get it done. And so this has been so frustrating for me because I can't just do it. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And it took me a while to accept that, understand it, give myself grace, let myself take those rest days if I need to, let myself take a nap during the day. I mean, my kids were like, Mom, you never nap. You're napping all the time. I was like, yep, I am. I need that right now.
My body needs rest right now.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, it's so important to give yourself grace and to be patient and to educate yourself. And, I just think that like really understanding what's happening to your body is what's so important.
Yeah.
And really looking at how it's affecting each piece of your body. And, that's where you're going to start to be able to make the changes. For me, it had to be with the help of the hormones. There was no way I was doing it without.
I love that you said that because I think sometimes as women, we feel like failures if we ask for help or if we seek help. And, you and I have talked and you're like, I don't want to do this forever. Like I want to find other ways to manage my symptoms so I don't have to stay on these hormones forever. But you had to start with the hormones to get your body in a place where now you can learn more and figure out what else will help you on this journey. And so I think it's giving yourself permission to get the help that you need, no matter what that looks like. It's not just powering through, which we do a lot as women. We think, oh, I've just got to power through this. I just have to endure the suffering, when in reality, there are so many options out there that can help get you in a good spot. And then you can, if you are women like us who want to do all the things, find those options so that we can feel good again in our own skin, which is so important as a woman.
Yeah. And I think for me personally, I'm not only going to feel good about what I've done for myself, I'm going to feel good that I'm now going to be able to help members.
Yes.
And not only that, but just that us as a brand, like what gym do you know that cares if you're going through hormones, like through menopause?
Yes.
Like I've never heard of anything like that. And the fact that when this happened to me, I came screaming to you guys. I was like, Matt, we got to do something. I was like, our members need help. I need help.
Yes.
And just to see that like we're bringing awareness to this and we're helping our members and we're talking about how can we get our trainers able to help our members. And
I feel about that.
How can we make sure that when we go into a focus meeting, we're having a focus meeting knowing that this person is going through menopause. And we're not telling them the same narrative that we're telling someone else.
Absolutely.
And, that's really important for me. And it's really important for us as a brand to make sure that we're knowledgeable on that. And to me, like that's just, I feel so, you kept saying, thank you for doing this. I'm like, no, thank you for doing this. Like, I'm so happy that you guys are, that headquarters is really bringing awareness to it because we're not like any other gym. And this brand is a brand that like our members grow with us.
Yes.
Like they will, I have members since I opened in 2015.
Right. It's almost 10 years.
Members.
Right.
And so, I'm 55 and a lot of them when they started were in their 30s or even 40s. So they're right there with me.
Absolutely.
So it's so important because I see it in them. They're not going to stop coming. It's their second home.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we are able to help them and, not curtail the workouts, but just help them understand.
Absolutely.
It's okay to lift heavy. And in fact, it's even better to lift heavy when you're going through menopause. Take the creatine. That to me was like the timing of us rolling out creatine was
perfect.
So on point because that's the other part is when you are going through menopause. And so when I was gaining the weight, I was losing my muscle mass. Everything hurt. So my whole body, I was like, from here down, I was like, I don't know whose body is down there. Like, it's very weird. So then we rolled out creatine. I'm finally feeling my muscles again.
It's amazing.
Like, it came out right when I was going through all this.
It also helps with some of the cognitive functions that
because
we start to diminish.
Yes. Yeah. That was another thing. My concentration was so bad in meetings during this that I went to my family physician. I was like, I need something. I can't focus in my meetings.
Wow.
And so she had written me a prescription for Adderall. And so I only take it when I have meetings. because I'm not going to, I could take it every day and I could probably lose weight really fast.
Right.
But that's not going to help me in the long run.
Right.
I don't want a quick fix.
Yes.
I want to know that like I did this on my own. I went through the process. I worked for it, and I, got a resolution that's going to be long-term for me. And now I can give one long-term to my members.
Yes.
You brought it up, the word empowerment. Like, I want to feel empowered. I want my members to feel empowered. Yeah. And so, that did help. I do only take the Adderall when I have like significant meetings during the day, but I don't want to have to do that.
No.
I don't like putting stuff in my body.
Absolutely.
That I don't, other than my supplements for my workout.
And the creatine is perfectly safe and
great.
So well studied and all of that, and has so many benefits to all women, but especially women who are perimenopause and going through menopause for sure. Yeah. I love that, you talked about Burn Boot Camp and how it's different. And, we pride ourselves on being different because we personally train in a group setting. And if we're going to do that, then that means we're personally training the 20-year-old girl, the 30-year-old pregnant mama, the woman who's postpartum, the woman walking through perimenopause and into menopause, right? We want our members to grow with us, but in order to do that, we have to have the knowledge, and then we give them the knowledge, because that is our mission, is to empower women. And the only way we do that is if we know all phases of a woman's life. And I think this podcast, this episode, it does just that. And so you being able to come in here and speak to your story and share, and encouraging women to, educate themselves, to talk about it so that they're not isolated and alone. Encouraging, if you're a Burn Boot Camp trainer out there and you're listening to this, there are things you can do. Like I just started a course from Girls Gone Strong in menopause coaching, right? We want to be able to meet our members where they are. And so I hope that this podcast, number one, brings awareness, education. Number two, if you're walking through this, you are not alone, that you can be encouraged. I know Melissa would reach out to her. If you don't know where to go, where to start, absolutely. I'm sure she would love for you to reach out to her. And that you leave here knowing I can give myself grace. I can find the help I need, educate myself to walk through this season with grace, right? Because that's overall the goal, and be empowered. So I feel like we could talk about this all day long.
And we did just a couple days ago.
I know we did. And this is just a continuation of our conversation, but I think we've hit the main points. But truly, if there's anything else you want to just close us out, anything that you would say to somebody if they're where you are, how would you want them to feel coming out of this conversation?
I think just understanding that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just taking that time to educate yourself, to have patience, to have grace, and to love your body, to love on your body. And that's another thing I've been doing, is just going to get a massage, or doing some red light therapy, or doing things that calm my system while I'm getting through this hormonal change. And talking about it has been so much better for me, because, one of the things I do want to touch on really quick is that the word menopause, I think people associate with like a 75-year-old woman. And so I think I was so hesitant to talk about it, because I was like, it felt taboo. Yeah. It felt like, oh my God, that means I'm old. And for me, it's like my mind and my body is like, my mind is not old. My body is just struggling right now, but it is going to get back to where it was. And I'm going to be like, I still work out 6 days a week. That just hasn't changed. Right. And, I may not be doing Spartan races like I was, but it's not taboo. You can start menopause as young as 40 years old, and even younger. I recently heard rare people cases, but it's not taboo, and it doesn't mean you're old. It's just a normal part of life, and it's just understanding it and getting through it.
I love it. Melissa, thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
I know that everybody listening is going to benefit from it. As a woman who is entering into the perimenopausal phase, it is super encouraging for me to hear your story, to know like my lifestyle, my community, those things don't have to change. I just have to be educated, right? And that makes all the difference, so thank you.
It does. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, Melissa, well, you know how we end things at Burn Boot Camp. You're a trainer, so I'm going to let you take us out. You ready?
All right, Ashley. All right. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.